everybody attention, please? Could I ask all of the counselors to please turn their radios off, if you have one, so we don't get blasted out, please? I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed. A democracy, a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one inseparable, established upon the principles of freedom, equality, justice, humanity, for what American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes for. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and defend it against all enemies. Does everybody know what that is? Everybody ever heard that before? What is it? Somebody said, say that up. No.
Somebody had it over here.
The American's Creed.
Thank you. That's correct. What we're going to do here for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about all the flags that are up here. We're going to tell you some do's and don'ts. We're going to show you some of the stuff that's on the tables here. The first question I have for you guys, is our flag set up correctly up here?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
I heard a no. I heard a no somewhere. Who said no? What's wrong with it? Well, that's a good point. It doesn't have to be by itself. That flag is different than all the ones up here. And I'm going to explain that in just a second. When you put flags up, you put them in order of precedence. So which one up here is the most important?
The American flag.
Right. So it's at its own right, which is at the position of honor. Now, I heard someone say he thought the West Virginia flag was on the right. Well, that's true. As you're looking at it, the West Virginia flag is on the right. But you're talking about your own right, as I'm standing here. My right is here. The flag's right is there. A good way for you to remember is as you're looking at it, it's to your left. Okay? When we say it's on its own right, that's the position of honor, is the right. So that is why it's there. Then you go in order of precedence. Now, the next 5 that are up here are service flags for our branches of the armed forces. Then you have the Legion, which is a national organization. You have the Sons of the American Legion. You have the West Virginia state flag. Then you have the Boys state flag. That's order of precedence for this row of flags. Now, we talked about this one. The gentleman over here was talking about this one should be by itself. Last night when we did the ceremony, we put it by itself for effect to explain the table. This is considered a society flag. In other words, it's an organizational flag that doesn't have any type of national... Yes. Thank you. It's an organization of MIA and POW association, and this is their flag. That's why you'll see it on buildings. You'll see the U.S. flag, and then the state flag, and then this one. Or this one will be like the gentleman said, off by itself. But you need to remember that you put all flags in precedence. Now let's just think here a second. The guys that put the flag up this morning. Where are they? The 2 guys that put the flag up this morning. Color guard. Stand up. Stand up a second. Okay, let's say this guy here and this guy over here, they're putting the flag up. Okay? Now, it gets a little windy here once in a while. Let's just say they're putting the flag up, falls out of their hands, hits the ground, Is there something we have to do? Bury the flag, okay? What? I can read it. Yes, sir.
You have to cut the Union away from the stripes, burn the Union, and bury the stripes.
Okay, that's one way. Anybody else? Who said that? Say it again. You retire the flag. Well, all those answers are correct. You guys can sit down. I'm sorry. All those answers are correct. However, how much do you think Boise State would spend if every day the wind blew the flag out of their hands and they had to replace it each day by one of the methods that was just talked about? A lot. So you have to use common sense. The proper way, according to the flag code, to destroy or retire a U.S. flag is by burning. And then there are other organizations that cut certain things out of it, burn it all together, and then bury it. Now, tomorrow evening, you're going to see an actual flag retirement ceremony. It's going to be down in the amphitheater. You're going to see how a flag is actually retired, but it's not fit for service.
And that program would be based on the American Legion version. Okay? The Boy Scouts do it different, like the gentleman over here said, that you cut the Union out. Okay? Different ways to do it, and not that any of them are wrong, because we were talking about with the flag code, it's not a law. It's not required. It is a suggestion.
Now, we're going to leave some of the suspense of the flag retirement ceremony till tomorrow so you can see it. But there's a whole ceremony that goes along with it. The point I was making is you have to use common sense. The flag code says the flag is not supposed to touch anything beneath it. The floor, the ground. However, things happen. Accidents sometimes happen that you can pick the flag up and reuse it. I'm going to throw out a word here to you. The word is serviceable. As long as a flag remains serviceable, you can still use it. Now, who wants to fly this flag over their house? Anybody? You'd fly it? Okay. Okay. There's a few things wrong with this flag. Let me see. There's a couple things wrong with this flag. It has a hole in it. It's faded. The grommets are coming out of the end. As you can tell, it's not even close to the same color. So this flag would be considered unserviceable. This is a flag we would take to retire in a ceremony. Okay? Now, we talked some things about what to do if we destroy a flag. But let's say the accident happened and it dropped on the ground. Can you wash a flag? Anybody? Yes? Somebody over here said no? You can't? Flag code says there's nothing wrong with you washing a flag, as long as it remains what? There you go. That's right. As long as the flag stays serviceable, you can wash it. Now, that had a hole in it. Suppose that was the only thing wrong with it. Could I take it and have it sewn? No? Yes, over here, no over here. The answer is, as long as it remains serviceable, then yes, you can keep it. You can sew it. Now, if you're in the white part of the flag, you don't want red thread in there. So it has to, the colors have to match. It has to be the same type of material that you're mending it with and all that. So that can happen. So you can wash it, sew it. As long as it stays serviceable, you're good. Okay? Now, what if we're expecting a big storm coming up on tomorrow, let's say, We've got two different kind of flags. Can anybody tell me the difference between this flag and this flag? Say that again?
All-weather flag, non-weather flag.
Okay, what are they made out of? What's the difference?
Plastic,
Well, this is rayon and nylon, that's correct. And that is cotton. Now, if we put this flag out on a pole through a rainstorm or a windstorm, that'll get ripped to shreds pretty quick. This flag is actually used as an interment flag. That means that's the one that goes over a casket. Okay? They're both the same size. As you can see, that one looks a whole lot thicker, because this material will last in the weather more, just like the gentleman said, it's an all-weather flag. So that's the one you would use outside. This is more for interment or to hang indoors. Okay? Is there a special holiday that you put the flag at half-mast? Memorial Day. And it stays at half-mast till when? Noon. And then what do you do with it? Okay, when you do that, how do you, I guess everybody understands what half-mast is then, right? Okay. How do you put it at half-mast? Yes, sir.
You raise it up all the way, then take it back down to half.
Very good. Now when you take it down,
You raise it all the way back up, then back down.
very good. You guys already have all the answers. I shouldn't have passed those papers out yet. Okay, now, suppose there's a flagpole that you can't put at half-mast. You know, they have some new flagpoles now that are telescopic, that just go straight up, and you can't put a flag in the middle. How would you depict that flag as being half-mast?
Take it off.
Take it off. Well, then you wouldn't be flying your flag. That's not good. Anybody?
What? Only raise the pole halfway.
Well, but see, I have a pole in my front yard that if it's as high as it'll go, the flag's still at the top of the pole. I mean, it can be this tall, it's at the top of the pole. The next section, it's still at the top of the pole. So there's a way that is an accepted method to put it at half-mast if your pole will not do that. And that is this black streamer can be put on the flag. That would depict that the flag should be at half-mast. Now, there's a stipulation that it has to be the same size strip as the stripes on your flag. Now, this is an accepted American Legion way of doing that. You won't find this in the flag code. But the American Legion and certain other organizations have approved this for use. Okay? So that's one way to do that. Now, last night, we did the POW tape. You all understood what that meant, right? Can anybody tell me what we would use this flag for? Yes, sir.
When you have like a son that's overseas fighting.
Well, you're right, but it can be any family member. Doesn't have to be a son or daughter. It can be a dad, a mom, whatever. Now, if you see one of these hanging in someone's window, you would know that that family has someone serving. Now, if it has more than one star, what would you think that meant? More than one serving, correct. Now, what if it had a gold star?
They die.
Yes, sir. Well, killed in action, yes. That would be called the Gold Star flag. And that would be for a Gold Star mother or a Gold Star father, parent, wife, husband. That's what you would, that is what that would depict. Okay? Yes?
One of these citizens, I noticed when the parents dropped them off, they had a flag back to 3 stars.
3 stars? Who was that?
I noticed when they dropped them, they were off.
How many have family members serving right now? How many? Two?
Two over here.
Two?
Three said three. Somebody over here said three. Somebody said three.
Well, thank you. Thank you for Now, we've got some other things up here. I'm going to open up the questions here for you guys in a minute. I can stand up here and talk, but you guys probably have questions to ask us. So, we're going to do that. But we want to show you a few things first. Last night you saw the table. We showed you some of the things over here. What would you think we would use this thing for? Anybody have any idea? Yes, sir.
Burial service, would you like use it as a symbol of like the symbol of like the fallen soldier where they have like the rifle and the helmet over it, so use that for that?
That's very, very close. Yes. In the American Legion, we have a ceremony, which you're going to see Wednesday night. It's called Post Everlasting. And this is what we use. It's not the way you're talking. It does have rifles, but it's on a stand, and you burn records in here of the person who has been killed in action or departed. That's why it's called Post Everlasting. So you'll see that whole ceremony on Wednesday. We just wanted to show you this today so you would know what that is. When you walk in the assembly hall, or walk in the cattle barn on Wednesday night, you'll be able to see that in the middle of the floor and you'll know what's going to happen. Okay? Now, I want to do some questions here. Anybody who has questions on flags? Yes, sir.
When I was like 4, somebody told me that on military bases, the ball at the top of the flagpole had a pistol and matches in it, and the military base never told me, so we still fly up and burn the flag.
That, yes. Did everybody hear what he said? No. He said on military installations, the ball that's at the top of the flagpole supposedly has a book of matches, a gun, and 1 bullet. So that if the base is overrun, the last person gets to the top of the flagpole, retires the flag, and shoots themselves. That is a myth. I do not know whether that is absolutely true or not. I've heard it before, but I do not know if that's accurate. But I've heard that. At every base I was stationed at, I heard the same thing. So, yes.
My question's about what the ceremony for the
Yes.
what kind of records do they burn?
Okay, the records, when you do a post-everlasting ceremony, you're burning the records showing that this person was a member of this organization, he was in the United States, whatever branch of the service, he was a member of this post for the American Legion, and then that's put in there. Now, you don't burn the actual records. It's a form that you burn that symbolizes the records. I mean, you don't burn the whole record, but that's what we're burning. Robbie?
I understand that the service flags in the American Legion, they're national, so that's part of the reason why they would go up there, but shouldn't the West Virginia flag still be second to the United States flag because of the fact that it's a state, it's its own government in there?
Well, so then, using your analogy, that would mean that everybody in the United States Army is from West Virginia, right? So there's nobody in the United States Army from Virginia or Maryland or Pennsylvania. So, I mean, this is one state. I personally happen to think it's the best one, but that's only one state. It takes all 50 states to make up the United States Army, Air Force, Marines. So these are actually higher because they're considered national flags, okay? That is the state flag. Now, this is a national organization. It's kind of the same way of thinking. There's more people in the American Legion than just in West Virginia. So then the state flags would follow in the precedence. That make sense? Yes, sir.
How do you determine the order of military service flags?
Well, before I start, this one should be first. Yes. But anyway. They go in order. They go in order that they came in. Established. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Yes. The order they were established. The first senior old service would be the Army. Now there's a controversy over this, but the next one would be the United States Marine Corps. The next would be the United States Navy. The real service would be next, the United States Air Force. And then just recently, a few years ago, the U.S. Coast Guard was put in with the branches of the service. As a branch of service. They used to fall under the Department of Transportation and were activated only when the Secretary of the Navy said they needed them. But when Homeland Security stood up, they became their own branch of the service. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. Right behind you, Jacob. Yes, sir.
What do you say or do whenever you see somebody desecrating flags?
Well, there's some fellas in the back of the room, and over here, that have saw that. They would probably take matters into their own hands. However, we talked a little bit earlier about the flag code. The flag code does not say anything about someone being able to do that. We have laws that say we have the right to do that. If I want to go over there, pull that down off the pole, throw it out on the floor, I can do that. Because our Constitution says I can do that. Until these guys in the back of the room get a hold of me, and I may not do that anymore. However, there's no law that says you can't. Because the flag code in the first couple of paragraphs says there is no punishment if you don't follow the rules of this code. So do you think that code's worth it? Why would it be worth it? Yes, sir.
This is what it represents.
Very good. It's a moral code. It's what we've been taught to believe, that that piece of cloth is important. So important that several people have died for it.
To give you the right to rip it off this pole, throw it out there on the floor, and stomp on it if you so desire. Okay? That is the major controversy that has gone on over the last several years. There has been bills introduced to try to put into law to make it a crime if someone would desecrate the flag. And it is very controversial. Something that you guys are going to be working on as you go through the week. Passing laws and legislation that can be very controversial.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a special ceremony for like the Army flag or the Marine Corps flag, or do you guys just dispose of them like the same way you do an American flag when they become serviceable, or do you have a separate procedure?
Well, I will tell you, that is up to the individual services. They have their own way of doing it. Now, tomorrow, when we do the flag retirement here, there will be a couple West Virginia flags mixed in there with it. Because people have brought them to us and saying, this is unserviceable, can you do this? So we do the West Virginia flag the same way here. But if it was a Marine Corps flag or an Army flag, that would be up to that individual service to decide how they want to do that. Some of them put them, if their flag has been in battle, sometimes they put that flag under glass, even though it's shot up or whatever. But it depends on the individual service. Yes, sir.
I noticed on that flag it has a yellow trim around it, but
Certain flags that are indoor flags or parade marching flags will have that gold trim around it. That's just a decorative thing that was put in the flag code to signify that would be a ceremonial flag. That flag with the gold trim would never fly on a pole outside. It would only be to carry in a parade or set on a stage like this. That's the difference.
What about like historical flags that you see in the museum that are what other flags do in serviceable? Like, what's the rules of those? Does it just not apply?
No, it still applies, but there is a caveat in the flag code that says if you're going to place this flag for historical purposes, you can put it under glass, but there's a stipulation that you don't fly it anymore. The actual flag that Betsy Ross made is hanging in the Smithsonian Institute up on the wall. It can never fly again. I mean, it's huge. It's a huge flag. But it's ripped, torn, faded. It won't ever fly again, but it's there for historical purposes.
Yes, sir.
What if you're flying, like,
Yeah.
what if you fly the United Nations flag? Does it go higher than the United States flag? Or equal?
If you look at in New York, around the UN, they have all the nations' flags. The UN flag is first because that is the United Nations. Then if you look, they have the 5 starting members of the UN first. Then the rest go. So that's the only place that you'll see something farther to the right or higher than the US flag would be at that particular spot. Anybody else?
If you were flying a group of multiple nations flags, would the U.S. flag have to be on the right, or what would you do?
Well, that would depend on the agreement where you're at. An example would be, I was stationed in Germany. Every day when they took the flag down, they would play our national anthem and the German national anthem. We had one flagpole, and both of our flag, both the U.S. flag and the German flag were the same height because we were on German soil, but it was our base. So it depends on what agreements you have where you're flying of different nations. Okay. Anybody else?
Why is the Navy the only service that would actually have to dip their flag?
Say that again.
In certain situations at sea, the Navy would have to dip the U.S. flag. Why would they even have to be the only ones to do that?
Where's Theo?
Theo?
Theo, would you like to field that question, sir?
When you're passing another ship of foreign countries, dipping your flag is part of courtesy, saying we recognize you and they do the same thing to us. Did that answer your question? Yeah.
It's kind of a non-combative gesture.
It's not a matter of have to, like Theo said, it is a matter of courtesy to that other nation's vessel.
1 second. It's also like the military salute. How that came about was, in the old days, in the knights, in shining armor and all that, they used to tip their visor to the other horseman that was coming by to let you know, I'm a friendly guy. That's how the military salute started. So that's kind of the same thing that we're saying there with dipping flag. Yes, sir.
Isn't the Marines technically a part of the Navy?
Theo, is the Marines part of the Navy?
No way!
Paul, why? Where'd Paul go? Where's Bob?
Right here.
Bob, is Marines part of the Navy?
I won't use the term.
Technically, the United States Marine Corps falls under the Department of the Navy. However, you will never get a Marine to tell you they're not their own branch of the service. Because as far as everyone's concerned, they are.
It's the only branch of the
Yeah. Opinion only. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I noticed on many officials' uniforms, whenever they have the flag patch, that the stars are always on the sides to make it look as though it's flowing in the wind. Now, is it always supposed to be like that? Like if you were to get a uniform and put your own patch on, would it always have to be like that, or is that just something that?
Yes. To answer your question is yes. But now I'm going to explain what I'm talking about. Okay. Which part of this? We know that the blue is called the Union of the flag. And it's got the 50 stars in it, which stands for 50 states. So if we had this flag horizontal, is that correct as you're looking at it?
It's correct the way I'm looking at it.
So he would turn that around if it's depicting you. What you're looking at, that's the correct way to fly. What he's saying, you can buy the patches that show for this sleeve or that sleeve, and shows that it's like you're walking. And it's the flag is waving, that's the way it would be. Okay? Technically, it should be the Union up here, but that's what those patches are on military uniforms and police uniforms. They're depicting that you're walking and the flag is waving. That's why they're on the wrong side on one sleeve. So, if you hang it the other way, is that right? But that would be right, as you're looking at it. Again, it comes back to the position of honor. The Union is in the position of honor. So, it all depends. Have any of you ever seen a Greyhound bus? You look at the side of that, you can see the flag is backwards. That's the first company that went to the U.S. government and said, we want to put this flag on our bus this way, even though it looks wrong as I'm looking at it, because that's the way our bus would travel, and that's the way the flag would look if it was out there on the side of the bus. Yes, they do. And it depicts that the flag would be waving. Yes.
I want to go back to when we were talking about, and I made the comment, that looks right to me. Okay? How many of you have walked into a large department store and walked up to the cash register and you look up at the flag and you see it there? And it's like this. Well, as you're at the register looking at that, that's correct. Now, I need you guys to imagine here with me a little bit. We're inside the store. This wall is glass. Now, if registers are here where we're standing. If I'm going to put this flag up, which direction do I put the flag? Between the registers and the glass that's on the front of the building. Now, it's hanging from the ceiling. Want to put it up this way? Okay, why? Why? Okay. When displaying a flag, which way does it go? The flag should... Are we stretching or... Okay. The flag should be viewed by... That hand up?
As if you're walking to the door.
By the most public. Okay? So for this building, if I was to take this flag back here and put it in that window that's right there, we're going to put that up this way. Now everybody on the inside is going to look at it and say, that's backwards. Okay, excuse me. Put it up this way. And everybody on the inside is going to say, that's backwards. If you're inside, yes, it is backwards. But when you're outside, it is correct. So when you need to make sure, whenever hanging a flag, you need to hang in the proper position that is viewed by the most public.
Good. Any other questions?
Got one up there, Jacob.
What's the gold case with the eagle on top of it down the front? What
It's
is
just the gold eagle. It's not a case. It's just the eagle with the stamp. That's all.
He said it made it look
Yes.
like an urn.
What about like American flag, like T-shirts and hats and hoodies and stuff? So I always thought that was a little bit disrespectful.
Well, that depends. If you took an actual flag and patched your shirt, yeah, that would be disrespectful. But if you printed it and it's a tasteful shirt, like you have an eagle flying with the flag, or, you know, I've seen those, that's okay. That's depicting your pride in America and all. But to take an actual flag and make a piece of clothing out of it, or a tablecloth, or no, that's not what we should do. Yes.
I've seen a lot of boxers like, I've seen a lot of boxers wrap the flag around them after they've won. Is that?
Well, it's not just boxers. It's usually Olympic athletes. When they win a medal, they wrap the flag around them and run around the track. Personally, I think that's disrespectful too. But again, the flag code and our Constitution says they can do that. But again, it comes back to a moral thing. Sure, they're showing their pride, but I'd rather them have it on a pole and run around with it on a pole rather than wrap it around them like a jacket or something. That's just my opinion, but there's nothing to say they can't do that. You guys are going to see a lot of different hats. I got this question asked this morning. A lot of different hats are going to be worn around here. You'll see this hat. That is a regular Legion member hat. Just says you're regular in a post in the state. Then you're going to see a hat like this. This depicts that you are a district officer in the Legion. Okay? The white hat is a department officer, which means you're in the West Virginia Department something. Okay? So I just wanted to share, a lot of guys ask me, now there's another organization that is part of us, and there's 3 of those hats in the room here. Luke has one on, Jacob has one on, and Leslie in the back has one on. And that's the Sons of the American Legion. That means that they have a direct descendant that served in the military. Grandfather, mom, dad, grandmother, great-grandfather, something like that. So they can join that organization that is actually part of the Legion, but they're not veterans of the Legion. Okay? Now there's one other thing I want to do before we break up here, and that's, I'm surprised no one asked, what's under this black thing up here? What's under the black thing up here? Thank you. What this is, and I'm going to get some some audience participation here by some folks. And first thing we want to do, what these are grave markers. They depict all the different eras of war that we had. So, the first thing I want to do is I need a volunteer. Let me ask a question. How many World War I veterans are left in the U.S.? None. Who was the last one? Mr. Buckles. Where was he from? Charlestown. So we had the oldest surviving World War I veteran. Now, I need a volunteer to come up here and place a flag in the World War I. That's okay. Thank you. Now we have a special person in the room today, and I'm going to have him come up and place the World War II flag. Mr. Boyard, would you please come up and do that? Oh, you are? Okay. Well, stay here a second. We'll have you put the Korean one in, too. There we go. Thank you, sir. Mr. Greek, would you come up and put the Vietnam in? Okay, I need another volunteer from the audience. Yes, sir. Would you come up and put the Persian Gulf flag in, please? Where's the young man that had 3 family members serving? Who was the 2? Would you come up, sir? Place the Iraq. Thank you. Colonel, could you come up and do the Afghanistan, please? Thank you, sir. Now we have 2 left. That depicts veterans and war veterans. Because, you know, in my way of thinking, if you're getting shot at, you're in a war. We can call it whatever we want to call it. But if you're getting shot at, you're in a war. So, I have 2 gentlemen I'm going to pick to come up to do this. And one is for just a U.S. veteran. Mr. Mike Rafferty, can I have you come up, please? The last one is just getting shot at, protecting us. Mr. Clarence Booth, could I have you come up and introduce That's a long time for Americans to protect our homeland. This piece of cloth, a lot of people died for. So, a few minutes to stand at attention for the national anthem, or a few minutes to recite the Pledge of Allegiance doesn't seem like a whole big deal compared to what all these guys went through the years. So what I hope you got out of today in this class is you all can set the example of how people should take care of our flag. Because if you see someone disrespecting the flag, they're disrespecting you, because you're part of that. Because you're an American, you're part of that. So I ask you, when you go back to your schools, if you see someone not standing up correctly for the national anthem, tell them about it. Say, hey, couldn't you stand still for 2 minutes? Tell them about it. Real close to here is the National Cemetery for the state of West Virginia over in Grafton. When you look over that hillside and see all those stones, it's pretty amazing that you have people in this country that are willing to sacrifice everything for our way of life. You guys are our way of life real soon. Please respect our flag. I thank you all for your attention today, and I hope this was worth it to you. Thank you very much. Okay, time to go back to work. Nationalists, you stay here.